Welcome back to India Today. The Modi Sarkar has gone on an overdrive to ensure sufficient food supplies after the weather department forecast of a deficient monsoon this year. According to the forecast, rains will be 12% below normal, the worst affected area being the northwest. The other areas are expected to be 10% below normal, with maximum rain expected in the south. The government on its part is already preparing for the worst. Agriculture bodies have been asked to distribute drought-resistant varieties of various crops. An eye is also being kept on speculators. Orders have been issued to release buffer stocks as needed. The government is also falling back on the price stabilization fund to check undue speculation.
जो वर्षा कम होने पर जिन प्रकार की बीजों की जरूरत है वो भी हमारे पास ज्वार, बाजरा, रागी इसके पर्याप्त स्टॉक हैं और किसान चैनल के अलावा अधिकारियों के माध्यम से कंटीजेंसी प्लान के माध्यम से पंचायत और गांव में रहने वाले किसानों के नजदीक हम निरंतर संपर्क बनाए हुए हैं.
The administrative reaction to potential weak monsoons and it can make a world of difference if you have a weak monsoon, if you have the appropriate policy reaction. And so that is something we have to wait and see. I mean, we have included some estimates of what we believe a reasonable estimate. But if action is very vigorous or if the monsoon is much stronger than currently forecast, that will obviously create more policy room for us to act.
Forecast which has been updated today says that the monsoon rainfall for the country as a whole will be 88%. And with the model error plus minus 4%. So this is the category, the lowest category, which we call as a deficient monsoon.
So we are still 82% chance of either normal or above normal, and we are sticking to it when so far we do not have evidence to believe that we need to revise the forecast.
And let's tell you how the deficient monsoon will have a direct impact on you. Well, the biggest thing that's going to be affected by a deficient monsoon are the crops. Though this year is still far from being declared a drought year, the average fall in agriculture production during drought years is as much as 10%. The worst affected usually is the kharif crop, comprising mainly of rice, which falls by nearly 14%. Wheat and other rabi crops usually see a production dip of 6 to 7%. However, prices are already rising across the country. In Mumbai, the prices of pulses, most of which India already imports, are up by nearly 30%. Vegetable prices too are headed north. A similar trend is being seen across the country.
The prices of spices and pulses across the country are rising, and Kolkata is no exception. I'm standing in Jaddu Babu Bazaar, Sri Satnarayan Bhandar, which is one of the leading stores of pulses and spices. But as far as the prices are concerned, they have increased more than 20 to 40%. And that is the general increase in all the pulses across the line. Let's talk to a few people on what is your take on it. Is it because of the monsoon that has taken a hit last year and this year again that the prices of pulses are rising?
I can say 50% yes, 50% no, but the stockists are stock the product, so that the price are increases. So my request is to all stockists to release the products, so we can take the product from lesser prices. I can accept the monsoon is there, some certain prices there, but prices not they cannot increase 20 to 30%. They can increase 5%, 10%. It's okay for us.
The arar dal, which was around 40 to 50 rupees last year, is around 80 rupees to 100 rupees, or rather crossing that in certain shops this year. What is your take on it? How difficult is it to manage the house budget?
Actually, it is very difficult for us to manage, but how we are managing, even we know how we are managing our budget.
बच्चों को तो खिलाना ही पड़ेगा.
We have to give our child. This is a necessary thing that we have to give, because बाकी सब चीजें खिलाने से अच्छा दाल खिलाना ज़्यादा I think better. It's better, but
and that but is a big but. I can tell you one thing, that it's not just about the difference of opinion between the people, but also the fact that there has been a difference of prices, and this time it is here to stay, because it's just the beginning of the soaring of prices of pulses and spices across the country, especially Kolkata, and this year again it is going to take a hit, and it will be you who will pay it out of your pocket. With camera person Chitrabhanu Pathak, this is Manogya Loiwal in Kolkata for India Today.
Clearly, there are worrying days ahead, and RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan has spoken exclusively to India Today on the central bank's inflation fight and the path to higher GDP growth. Editor of Business Television Vivek Law with this exclusive.
You've met with a fair amount of success in terms of inflation. You've done a lot for the rupee from the time you came. Of course, we've seen some slide, and I'll come to that in just a bit. But By and large, you've been able to create a stable rupee. Do you believe that the rest of the environment now needs to pick up and do a lot more? And what would that be? What would you expect the environment to do, whether it's the government, whether it's the private sector? What would you expect them to do?
No, I think that as we deal with some of the legacy problems of the past, which have built up over time, growth will pick up. I think it's in the process of already picking up. But more work needs to be done. I mean, we're not finished. We need to unclog some of the projects that have got stuck. There is a responsibility there for the government, for the promoter, for the banking sector. Lots of people have to play a part there so that we can put these real assets, which are valuable for the country, back on track. A lot more needs to be done there.
Are you disappointed with the pace of growth on these measures that you talked about?
I mean, you can't work more than 24 hours a day. I think there is a lot of work going on. We have to work within a particular system. It's a good system. I mean, it's good that we're democratic. It's good that we're a vibrant democracy. It's good there are checks and balances. But within the system, we have to move forward, and that has a certain pace. The other thing that's important is, as we become a more developed economy, we need to build institutions, and that takes both time as well as realistic expectations. That we can't continue along the seat of the pants policy making that we used to in the past. There has to be a little more sort of direction, substance, framework. So, for example, as we move towards focusing on inflation, we're trying to put out our forecast. We're trying to say what we're going to do given our forecast. But there's always this constant debate. You should junk your forecast and focus on energizing growth because growth is very weak. Yes, growth is very weak, but we also have an inflation mandate that we have to respect, and we're trying to do the best in doing as much as we can for growth given the inflation mandate.
What spooked the markets and a lot of the commentary that has come out in the media today, Dr. Rajan, after your policy yesterday, was about the forecast. The market, as I said, I started by saying it wanted a rate cut, you gave it to them. The forecast didn't look very pleasant, and I think the bottom message that they were trying to take away from what you said was there are going to be no further rate cuts this year. Is that a correct way of reading what you said?
No, I think that's incorrect, and I think what we said precisely was, given what we believe is our best estimate of the future, we are just going to be able to meet our inflation goals by the end of the year. But there are lots of uncertainties. We pointed to three big uncertainties. One is the monsoon, its strength, but more important, the administrative reaction to potential weak monsoons. And it can make a world of difference if you have a weak monsoon, if you have the appropriate policy reaction. And so that is something we have to wait and see. I mean, we have included some estimates of what we believe a reasonable estimate. But if action is very vigorous, or if the monsoon is much stronger than currently forecast, that will obviously create more policy room for us to act. And similarly, oil prices are a big factor. They've come up quite sharply. We do think there's an upper bound on those oil prices. If they go back down because there is a sense that there is excess supply in the market, which was the first reason it went down, it would potentially give us more policy room. And similarly with the external environment. So what we said was, given our best estimate, there are these risks. We've moved a little, forward by saying that we're going to cut rates despite these risks. But let me outline these risks to you and say, based on how these risks evolve, we will, we will take a view. So it wasn't shutting the door.
So to say that it's a shut door is not correct.
It's not a shut door. It's a contingent statement.